In this video, I'm going to install the new sexy strip in my Tesla Model Y and go from this to this. So first off, this is a product which I bought with my own money. And to be honest, I'm not a fan of fitting too many accessories to my Tesla. But this was one product where I thought the additional functionality that it added, because it's not just a light strip, was worth it. So this is a product I've bought and it's not sponsored in any way. I don't have any other enhanced auto sexy products. I've never bothered with a instrument panel up here. To be honest, I think most accessories just aren't needed in the Tesla, so I don't bother with them. On the point of heads-up display and instrument panels, when I was driving my Tesla Model S, I did like having an instrument cluster, and every time I drove a Model 3 back then, I found it a little bit too open here, and to be honest, I never drove the cars long enough to really get used to having the speedo and everything up here on the central screen. However, with this car, I got used to it pretty quick, and I really don't miss having an instrument cluster. In fact, I prefer not having it. You have a better view of the road, particularly at night. It's good not having that light coming in to your eyes in front of you. So I've never bothered with these sort of panels you can have. I've been offered them many times for free to make videos. But this car internally has very few accessories. However, when I started seeing videos on this is one accessory that I quite fancied, mainly because it added extra functionality, because this isn't just a light strip, it talks to the vehicle and you can customize it to do various other things. And the two features which I thought were quite useful was to have blind spot monitoring, because the legacy Model Y like this doesn't have lights in the mirrors like the new one does, and you do get blind spot monitoring, but only when the camera is on. So the light strip adds that functionality that you get blind spot monitoring without the indicators on. And also when you're an autopilot, you can make this flash when you need to touch the steering wheel. And I thought that was going to be quite a nice feature. And there's many other things you can make this do. So let's show you what you get in the box. It's very nice packaging. It's even got magnets here on the flap on the box. And then inside you get your LED strip and the control unit. Just get rid of that bit of foam, and then in here we got a bag with some various bits and pieces in. So this is the cable that you connect the sexy strip here into your Tesla for power and communication with the car. And then we've got a plastic pry tool, a adhesion promoter wipe. This is a second 3M adhesive strip, but there is one already on there, but you get a second one if you need to remove that and reinstall a new strip. You get a bit of Velcro there to stick the controller onto the side of the car. And this one is the new version where you get a little tool here for aligning the LED strip up, and this makes sure that it sticks in the correct place on the inside of the dash here. The original versions of the sexy strip didn't include this tool. This is something they've developed later to assist installation, but they have provided the file so you can 3D print this. But my version included this, and this arrived to me about the second week of December or so. So they're now including this with the kit. So you don't get any instructions with this because all the information is online, of course, but inside the box here is a QR code. But interestingly, if I scan that, it says the page doesn't exist. The easiest way to look at the instructions is do it in your car and go to YouTube, go to the Enhanced Auto YouTube channel, click on videos and look down here for the sexy strip installation video. And then you can watch this in your car, pause it and follow along step by step while you're doing the job. So on this video, I'm not going to film the whole installation because they've done a far better job of that than I can do. But I'll get on and fit it, and then at the end I'll just give you my view of how easy the fitting was and any little tips that I might find along the way. However, a quick overview of the process is you've got to install the cable here, down inside here. So you've got to take the trim off here to access the connectors in the car to connect the S3XY Strip up to the vehicle, and then simply you stick the strip inside the air vent along there. But anyway, their video shows all that in detail. My Tesla Model Y is obviously a UK car, right-hand drive, and this was built in the Shanghai factory in October or November 2023. And the blue connector is down there on the side that we've got to plug into, and then this one here is where we're taking the power from. So you simply connect the white power cable in there, so it's daisy chaining out of that wiring loom, and then I've connected the blue connector in there into the diagnostic port, and then this then gives you another port there free for anything else to plug into. So you just hook that up there because we're not using that. Then I plugged the controller in there and confirmed that that's lit and all working. So that's the strip stuck up there in the air vent using this tool. There's a separate video on the Enhanced YouTube channel which shows you how to use this, but I found it was easier, rather than starting at the end, start about here. And I also taped up the strip at the other side with masking tape, just to support it and hold it sort of roughly in place, because when you're doing this on your own and the strip is sort of flopping down here and not staying in place, then putting this on and sticking it is just going to peel off straight away, so you need to sort of support it. But anyway, wasn't particularly easy doing that, but I found starting at the end it was always trying to pull off. So I started sort of 4 or 5 inches in, stuck that, worked back that way, and then worked back that way, and then that worked. And at this end the cable is visible when you look down, but I think when you're driving you're not going to see that. Anyway, you can expand that gap there to hook the cable through around there, and then we can get that buried down there behind this end panel. So then you can power on the strip to make sure that is all level or even, as it were. Make sure that's at the same depth all the way along, but of course using that tool should achieve that. But that looks pretty good. But this wire here is visible from the driver's seat, and it's always going to be, because you've got a lump there that it's got to go around. So I might see if I can just pull that a little bit tighter so that wire sits in there a bit more. But I can now mount the controller up in there, make sure it doesn't rattle, and put the trim back. So that's all installed. I've got the trim all back in place there. That's the best the wiring is going to look on that little bit there. But anyway, the next job is to install the app, and on the back of the box is a QR code where it should take us to the app. There we go, and we've got to install the Sexy Gadgets for Tesla app. So I've installed the app, and one nice thing with this app is it seems you don't need to create an account. You just scroll down, find the strip there, you go across and say connect to strip, and I haven't provided my email address or created a password yet. So that is connecting to the car, and we've now got control of it. I do notice there's a blue spot at the top there, just like a Tesla. You get a blue spot when there's things that are new, and there's a firmware update available. So before I go any further, I'm going to install that so it's got all the latest functions and features. You can pause the video now if you want to read these release notes to see what this firmware added. So at this stage, you're probably going to want to take the vehicle for a quick drive so you get a feel of how it operates with the default values before you start going into the app to change things. But the thing that I was most interested in is blind spot monitoring. So let's go to light effects, And this shows you all the functionality you can adjust there. And blind spot assist is the first item. So you have two options here, with blinker on and with blinker off. So when there is a vehicle in your blind spot and the blinker is on, let's put the blinker on, you would get the red bit on the side of the screen, and that is what the light bar is going to do as default. And you can change this from a blink, which is that, to a fade, which is that, to running, which is that, to loading, which is that type, pulse, which is that, and solid color. And the reason why I particularly was interested in installing the Sexy Strip is because we now have blind spot monitoring when the blinker is off. So when a vehicle is in your blind spot and you're not indicating, you can then make that Sexy Strip do something. So we've got solid color, and if I just put that on, so all the time a vehicle is in your blind spot, you're going to get a red solid color on whatever side of the vehicle that vehicle is in your blind spot. So again, you can change the pattern and you can have all sorts of things, but I think when you're driving, this is going to be going off quite a bit. So I think the solid color is the best option. And you've also got auto brightness offset as well, which is quite useful. So the other things you can configure is the turn signals, autopilot, acceleration mode, greeting animation, charging animations, speed limit animations, sentry mode, and battery conditioning. That's something that's new, which has come down with this firmware update. And then of course you can adjust your colors here, and you can select presets if you want to, and then you've also got power mode, brightness, you've got an offset, and you can dim that and make it brighter as well. And then you've got Tesla colors. That's only applicable if you've got the newer models where you have the factory light strip, and then you can make your new one replicate whatever the factory one is doing. But obviously I don't have any factory lighting in this car, which is why I've installed this product. If I had the other one, I don't think I would be installing the additional Sexy Strip. So anyway, that's pretty much about it. What I'm going to do now is go for a drive and get used to it and get used to the brightness settings, because I suspect I'm going to want to turn those down, but it's all very customizable. And today it is low winter sun, so I'll see how this performs. But already it's looking pretty bright, so I may well be turning this down even though it's quite sunny, and obviously in the dark I'm going to be turning it down to the minimum probably. Anyway, I'll leave it for there. I may well do another video about the Sexy Strip once I've got used to it a little bit more. So if you found this video useful or helpful, please do click the thumbs up, that really helps. Do subscribe to the channel, and if you want to know more about the Tesla Model Y here, in the video description below will be a link to a playlist where you can see other videos I've made. I think there's about 265 videos on this car already. So anyway, lots of information there, and I'll see you on the next one.
The videos I make on this channel are primarily to help others and share knowledge. If you found a video helpful, please show your appreciation by at least clicking the thumbs up button, and leaving a comment also helps too, as does subscribing to the channel. All of this is free of charge. I do not use paid memberships or Patreon, which is how most YouTubers earn their money. I only earn from the YouTube ad commissions. But under every video on this channel is a super thanks button. So if you found a video particularly useful, or maybe it saved you money or time, then please consider a donation using the super thanks button. You could buy me a coffee, a pint, or contribute to the running cost of this channel. There's over 1100 videos on this channel now, so please have a browse, use the search, and have a look at the playlists.